Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast in Australia. I hope you've had a fantastic week wherever you are in this world of ours. I wish I could come on air this week and say, isn't life wonderful and isn't life getting back to normal, and we've all, you know, COVID's in the rear vision mirror and we can all sort of breathe a sigh of relief and move forward in our lives. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So I know it's getting sort of tiresome that, you know, it doesn't matter what you believe in or who you believe, or, you know, we're all probably getting a little bit tired of listening to the politicians and listening to the so-called medical experts and, you know, and our local advisors. It's sort of like, when is this ever going to finish? And look, I can appreciate that, and I can understand that, and I can understand how tired and fatigued you might feel about that. And you just wish this year would end. But unfortunately, I don't think with the closing of this year are we going to see a miracle that's going to sort of wave a magic flag and say the world can return to normal. So I think what we've got to do is try and adjust our thinking. And that's easier said than done, because we as human beings are emotional, whether we want to admit it or not. We all have varying degrees of how we cope with things on an emotional level, and sometimes we can feel overwhelmed, and that's okay. I mean, I can remember growing up, and it was sort of, in my household, it was a stiff upper lip and nobody sort of really showed emotion, or, you know, if you needed tears, you did it in private. Well, luckily now that the world has changed and we do sort of accept the outpouring of grief or emotion or people being real a lot more than we did 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And that's a good thing, because I think now in these changing times where we've got so much being thrust at us, I think we need to release the pressure cooker. We need to release that emotional valve that is in each and every one of us. So it's very interesting this week that the card that I've drawn for the week is the Nine of Swords, which is tears and frustration and letting go of emotions. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you about emotions, that it is okay that we own them. It is okay that we allow them to happen, that we don't necessarily sort of try and block them all the time, that we allow ourselves to feel the emotion, own it, release it, understand it, and sort of say, it's okay. It's okay that I'm feeling like this. It's okay I'm having a bad day, or I'm getting angry, or, you know, we weren't given an emotion of anger or frustration for no reason. We were given it to learn to work with it, to understand it, to harness it so that it doesn't produce, you know, a negative type of emotion where we don't go and put our fist through a wall or hurt somebody. But it is something that can motivate us, and it can also help us release the pressure in our own pressure cooker of ourselves. So I think that that's a really important thing, that we all need to own the emotion that we might be experiencing at the moment. So the candle of the week that I've chosen this week is Angels and Guides. Now, I did this on purpose. I chose the candle before I did the card, because I sort of felt it was time that we maybe start to look at our faith, start to look at who and what we believe in, whether that be religion or whether you have some sort of belief system that you live your life by. We all have a guide. We all have somebody that we look up to. Now, whether or not that's you believe in your passed over relatives, or whether you believe that you've somebody special and got some particular special guide that guides you from above, it's whoever you want to believe in. Lots of people believe in angels. Some people believe in it's their passed over relatives that are guiding them. Some people believe that they've got somebody really significant from history that is guiding them. There's no right or wrong answer. It's what works for you. So this week I want to encourage you to get a candle. It doesn't matter what colour it is, what breed it is, but just light it and sit with it and just still your mind. Allow your mind to go still, so that whoever and whatever you believe in can maybe help give you some guidance. If nothing else, it can make you find a little bit of peace in this madness of a world that we call at the moment, and help us just release those emotions, all those pent-up tears, frustrations, emotions that we've all been carrying around this year. Now, if for some reason or another, by staring into the candle, gives you a sense of relief or a sense of release, and you start to feel tears running down your face, that's okay. Let those emotions come away. For some of you, you might want to burst into song. Others might just feel all of a sudden very quite sleepy. Other people might feel energized. It's a very personal thing, but I want you to promise me that you'll do that for at least 15 minutes a day for the next 7 days so that we can start to head towards the busier time of the year with the best sort of tune-up that we can give ourselves on an emotional and a spiritual level. It's really, really important, particularly when we've had such an emotionally charged year. Now, that leads me into the astrology section of this week. And wow, every week I sort of feel like I'm sort of delivering a sort of a soccer punch, you know, something that's very powerful, something that's very deep and meaningful. And it's sort of like, is this ever going to let up? Well, I'm not sure that it's going to let up anytime soon, but let's sort of dive straight into it. So as of today, the sun, which transits around the zodiac, and it spends approximately 28 days in each sign, is where we get our astrology signs from, has just moved into Libra. Now, what does this mean? Now, most people sort of tend to think of Libra and they think of the scales that can never be balanced. Well, that's one way of looking at it. But actually, the Librian energy is asking us to find the truth, is to weigh everything up very carefully and then find our truth or the truth in the matter. Now, sometimes this can be a little bit hard to balance. Sometimes this can be 1 minute I'm thinking this way and the next minute I'm swapping over there, and then I'm sort of undecided, and then I sway back again, and then eventually somewhere along the line we find a level. We find where we say, okay, I finally got everything into a balance and this is my decision or my judgment. Now, that's what the Librian energy is about for the next 28 days, is to try and find our balance, try and find the direction in our life that is going to give us a bit of peace, a bit of serenity, a bit of direction, a bit of a roadmap to follow, hopefully towards the end of this year, that we can sort of say, okay, now it's time to knuckle down, buckle down. This is what I've got to do as we head towards the end of the year. Try and put the rest of the year in the rear vision mirror and say, okay, all right, we've learnt from that, we've done that, we're leaving that behind. Now let's focus on the here and now and what needs to be done now. If we're all able to do this, I think we'll find a newfound strength. We'll find that we'll be able to cope with what's going on in the world around us, maybe just a little bit easily. And I'm not saying that we'll become numb to it. What I'm saying is you'll start to feel as if you've got a little bit of your own power back. This year has been feeling like we've been powerless, that we've had everybody else pulling our strings, telling us what to do, when to do it, when we can go out, when we could stay home, when we could go to work, when we could do this, when we could shop. And it's like a lot of that probably hasn't changed, but it will be our outlook and our attitude and how we approach it that will change, that will give us that sense of, okay, I'm back in the driver's seat to the best of my ability at the moment. Now, interestingly enough, I know around the world there's lots of parts of the world that are in election cycles or just had elections, just about to have them, or got them coming up in the next few months, or the next, 6 to 12 months. And it's interesting to see the way politicians start strutting their stuff. The one thread that I've seen from around the world, and it doesn't matter which democracy I've looked at, which country I've looked at, which way that they handle their democratic voting powers or their rights or how they treat their citizens, is that all of them seem to be power drunk, a whole lot of them. All seem to be power drunk, as if I tell you and I scream loud enough and I tell you often enough and I'm forceful enough and I tell you this is the way it's going to be, well, then that's the way it's going to be. And we're all supposed to fall into line behind them and agree with them and say, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Well, look, I don't think that's necessarily the way democracy should be. But it's interesting because they all seem to be following the same line of greed. Everything's about opening up economies, getting money flowing again. We've got to get people back to work. Look, I appreciate all that. And I'm not saying money doesn't make the world go round. But what I'm saying is they're driving that message home more so than they are about let's make our community well. Now, this really concerns me because to me it's out of balance, and it's the reason why this coronavirus is not coming to an end. From an astrological standpoint, the globe is out of balance. Everything is out of balance and is being driven to the ridiculousness of money, profits, and I don't care about anybody else as long as I'm okay. Now, while we still have this message being drummed into our heads as they get out there and spruik their stuff at their microphones, we're not actually bringing the world back into balance. So how do we go about that? Well, I think it's got to be that we, the people, have the power. Here in Australia, voting is compulsory. We don't get a choice when it comes to an election. We have to vote. It's law. Once you turn 18, you have the right to vote and you are expected to vote, otherwise you're fined. I know other locations around the world that's not necessarily the case, but can I encourage you not to waste your opportunity to have your voice heard? That if you have an up-and-coming election somewhere, make sure that you exercise your right to vote. It is the most powerful thing that we can do as individuals, and we all need to do that. We all need to think about it very carefully, look at it very carefully, not just from a selfish point of view, but who up there is speaking the truth. What are they doing? How are they trying to improve the health of our nation? And I think that's got to be the number one thing that you look at when you're coming to make a decision on voting. Now, from an astrological standpoint, this really concerns me because we have Pluto, we'll talk about Pluto in a minute. We have Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting in Libra. Now, he's nearing the end of his cycle there where the sun is just starting, so they're not holding hands, they're not influencing each other. Mercury is the planet of communication. Mercury is the thing that gives us our reasoning ability, that gives us our logic, but Mercury can also play tricks on us. We know that people are very clever with their words and telling us things that we want to hear, knowing very well what we want to hear, and it may not necessarily be the truth, but I'll tell you that anyway because I can get my own way by doing that. And aren't politicians great at doing that? It doesn't matter which side of the divide they come from, which political party they come from. They all get up there and beat their chest and tell you how blasted amazing they are and how much they're going to do for you. And they tell you what they think you want to hear. So we as the public now have to let them know we're not listening to this garbage anymore. This is what we want them to do because after all, we elect them and we pay their wages. Now, Mercury is actually opposite, sitting opposite. It's like a seesaw going up and down. Opposite Mars, the planet of action, the planet of war. And I'm not predicting a world war. I'm talking about the war or the energy that we need to use. So Mars is sitting in Aries where it rules Aries, so it feels very comfortable there. And normally Mars in Aries, I always say, wow, this is good. This means things are going to get moving. We've got some energy happening. Life is going to start to move forward. But we also have to guard on the air of caution there. With Mars in Aries, it can be very one-eyed. It can be very selfish. It can be very me first. Doesn't that sound like a lot of politicians out there beating the drum about me, and I, and what I'm going to do for you, and we're going to get the economy rolling, and we're going to do this, and we're going to create jobs, and we're going to get this happening, and we're not going to have this anymore, and we're going to take money out of the stimulus and all this sort of thing because it's time people got back to work, everything's under control. But at the same time, bubbling away underneath the surface is this major health crisis that nobody really has got under control yet. Yes, we contain it for a period of time and then all of a sudden it flares up again. And when it flares up again, it seems to take fire again like a bushfire. It just rages really, really quickly. Now, I'm not saying communities and governments aren't doing the right thing to try and curb this pandemic. But I think in some ways, I think they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves where they seemingly start to get things under control and then they sort of flick a switch and say, right, let's open everything up. It's a free-for-all. And they expect that by doing that, because they've told the virus that it's time to open up, it's time to get people back to work, it's time to get the economy flowing, we all need the stock market going up, that the virus will do as it's told. Well, I haven't seen a virus yet do as it's told. And certainly the novel coronavirus is certainly not doing that. So just to add insult to injury, I know I'm the bearer of good news today, we've got the moon, which is the emotional planet transiting for the next couple of days in Sagittarius, again in a fire sign. But this time it's sort of saying to us that looking at it on a global sort of stage, the emotions are being driven by each one trying to outdo each other from another nation. Now, I'm looking at the world stage here because the moon is the emotional planet. It's conjunct or holding hands the south node, which is one of the moon's nodes, which is saying I'm looking for the easy way out. It's also holding hands with the part of fortune, which is saying I'm trying to bring fortune back into my life. So just be aware that we could be being a little bit deceived at the moment. We've still got the usual three culprits sitting in Capricorn, Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter, which, you know, aren't moving that fast. So we've still got the pandemic going on. We're going to take our first caller, which is Debbie in Dover in Delaware in the USA. Are you there, Debbie? Hello, Debbie.
I am. I'm here.
Do you have a question? Do you have a question I can work with, please, sweetie?
Yes, I was wondering if I have any spirits that are around me on a daily basis.
Debbie, we always have spirits that are around us on a daily basis. It's what we believe in. You know, some of us believe that it's a passed over parent or a grandparent. Others of us believe that it's an angel or a spirit guide. I mean, I'm picking up 3 people particularly around you that influence you, 2 females and a male. They haven't come forward with any specific message to sort of say that we need to enlighten Debbie of this or that or the other. Have you just made some changes in your... What's sweetie?
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say, have you just made a major change in your life, a major turning point since August? Was there a major decision that you made?
No, not that I can think of. I know my best friend passed away.
What, in August?
On July 10th.
Okay, that's pretty close to August. Okay. The reason I asked that was because the 3 people in spirit were showing me an ending. And they just said to me it was major, but they didn't give me anything else. Well, if you've lost one of your best friends in July, that's a major thing to happen in your life. It's a major adjustment that you've got to make. You've got to come to terms with it. You've got to try and understand it. You've got to try and work through it. Look, I think it would be fair to say that your friend is around you too, but it may be just a little bit too soon for you to sort of pick up on that vibration. You know, look, there's no hard and fast rules that how long does it take someone when they pass over from the physical plane to the spiritual plane before they can make connection with us. Everybody's, again, individual. So, you know, if you see something out of the corner of your eye or you feel that friend close, speak out loud to them, say their name, because that intensifies their energy of them being able to make connection with you. And a lot of times our guides only just want us to acknowledge that they're there. They haven't necessarily got an earth-shattering message for us. It's like a 2-year-old pulling on your skirt. They just want you to give them attention. And I know that your friend is with you all the time.
I've been seeing a lot of butterflies, so I was just wondering if she is something that one of her...
Yes, if that's how you sort of see that's your way of connecting with spirit. We all have our own symbology. Some people it's butterflies, other people's it's objects out of the corner of their eye and they turn around and there's nothing there. Some people say to me, oh, they moved my photos on the mantle. Other people say lights flicker on and off. Some people get messages in songs or something on the television. We all have our own unique way, sweetie. So if that's what works for you and feels right to you, then follow that.
Do you have a description of the 2 females and the male?
No, they didn't give me anything other than just that was their energy and then they were gone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, lovely to talk with you, Debbie. We're going to speak with Jackie now in Colorado Springs in Colorado. Are you there, Jackie?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Do you have a question? Do you have a question I can work with, please, Jackie?
Yes, I have 2 questions. I'm currently in the middle of trying to do my citizenship, and I can't find my wedding ring.
Oh, okay. I don't normally guarantee I can tune into lost articles like your wedding ring, but I can appreciate why that's important, that you need to sort of try and find it. Look, I think as far as your wedding ring is concerned, and I don't mean to sound patronising, but I do think it's going to turn up. I think it's going to turn up in a place that you think, well, how on earth did it get there? I don't even remember taking it off or wearing it while I was doing that. I keep sort of feeling it's got something to do with the kitchen. You know, like I took it off when I went to put my hand in the flour or something like that, and it's sort of like it's going to be something stupid like that, but I do know that it's going to turn up. That's what they sort of showed me. They showed me that you will find that. As far as the citizenship, look, I'm not going to say to you it's not going to go through. I'm going to say to you I think it's hit a stumbling block. Now, that will be, I think, that they will send you some sort of message asking for some further information or some further confirmation. And you look at it and you think, but how many different ways do I have to answer that same question? It's like, it's one of those times where you just got to suck it up, princess, and just answer it again. You know, it's like, what part of this don't they understand? Look, I don't feel that it won't go through. I'm just saying there's a slight delay with them asking you the same question again, and you've got to give them, you know, virtually the same answer again, but maybe word it slightly differently so that it's sort of all of a sudden they absorb it and understand it or something. So would it be fair to say that you're anticipating that this could go through by the end of the year?
I'm praying, like I have good feelings, like my heart feels like it will happen, you know, but it's not moving, but I have been optimistic about it, and I don't know, something in my spirit tells me that it's going to happen, you know, but I'm just not sure at this point.
Look, I felt that you were going to have it in your hand to look at, you know, like the piece of paper to say that you're actually a citizen by the end of this year, and you're sort of sitting there looking at it and saying, wow, you know, this is the best Christmas present I could have got. So that's why I'm sort of anticipating it's going to be before the end of the year, because it's like me picking up this tarot card and I'm just looking at it and I'm going, wow, you know, like I can't believe my eyes. Is this for real? Yeah, get someone else to look at it and say, yes, it is for real. You know, it is for real, you know, because it's been such a big thing to try and get across the line that you sort of, when it's finally here, you sort of almost believe, you don't believe you believe it, you know, but you can believe it and it's real and it's good. And that's going to be the start of your life changing for the better, Jackie, too. It's really interesting because they keep showing me that you have a lot of spirit activity around you at the moment. Now, normally when I see so much spirit activity like that, it usually indicates a massive shift or a massive change in our lives. And it's like they're all running around busily helping us get ready for the transition that's about to take place, you know, and it's like they're usually too busy to stop and give any information because they've all got their own duties to do. Well, that's what I was seeing. It was like all these ants running around at 1,000 miles an hour to get everything ready for you. So I can only take from that this is the first part to a very big transition in your life, not just the citizenship, but I think 2021 is going to see some other major turning points as well. So were you looking to move residence once this citizenship comes through?
Well, if my citizenship comes through, I was looking to go travel the world, you know, get a job because I've been a stay-home mom. So I want to transition, maybe I don't even know where my path is. I've been at home for a while now. I've tried the whole insurance thing. I wanted to start my hair braiding company or go back to school to be a dental hygienist. So I don't even know. I'm just up in the air right now. So do you think dental hygiene is a route to go, or should I just start my own hair, go to school, get my degree in hair braiding and just do that? I'm currently doing that at home, but I do want a career that I feel, you know, I could still be the mom and available for my family.
I was going to say, let's be greedy and go for it all. Let's go for it all, Jackie, because I don't think that necessarily, you know, look, I think it's good to have a certificate behind you in dental hygiene, but I also think we've got to honour that creative side of you with your hair work as well. So I think let's try and incorporate both.
Perfect. And then back to my ring, what should I be doing to just try to like open the past.
Look, I think what you've got to do is stop being so stressed about it. I know that sounds easier said than done, but what you're actually doing is blocking your mind being able to wander off into different directions and take you back to, oh, remember when you were making that pie, you took your ring off and you put it up on the window ledge because you needed to get the flour, and then you've knocked it and it's gone into something else. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like you're trying too hard to try and find it. So I think if you can relax and just let your mind wander, let it daydream, let it take you wherever it is, you're going to remember and you're going to go, oh, yes, of course. And you go there and there it is. So it's not lost. Nobody stole it. Nobody took it. It will turn up, and I feel it's going to be within the next 2 weeks. You're going to get the flash of where it is and you'll go to it and you find it and you think, oh, thank goodness for that. It's not an omen. It's not a sign to say the marriage is over or anything like that.
Yeah, even though I moved homes, though, it's, you know, I've lost it 2 years ago. That's the thing. So I'm in a new home.
It's going to turn up.
So
it's going to turn up. It's going to turn up. It's in something.
Oh, my God. God bless you. Is any other thing you would like to tell me? You've answered my things, all my concerns and questions. If you have anything else, advice, or
no, I don't, Jackie. Unfortunately, sweetie, we're at the end of the show, so I'm going to have to leave it there with you. We've got less than 60 seconds for me to wrap up. So that was Jackie from Colorado Springs in Colorado. And for many of us, we misplace things that are really important to us. And sometimes by just taking the pressure off ourselves, we find our mind wanders back and allows us to be guided back to where it is, and so that we can find lost objects. So I hope this week you use your candle, you sort of try and bring in your own angels and guides to help you and guide you and help you release the stress and the tension of everything that's gone on this year, because we all need to be able to take a deep breath, unwind, relax, and get ready for the onslaught of the rest of this year. So until next week, bye for now.